before people jump in there, FCA does leadership camp. I don't care if you're 8th grade moving on, if you're 7th grade moving up. We do leadership camp, just kind of help training people. How many of y'all play sport? Let me see. Okay. Whether you're looking to be a leader just in FCA or you're a leader on your team, love to kind of help encourage that, because for a lot of people, hey, they'll go sit in church, but they don't see how that translates to their sport or where they are. But with about 400 folks come to FCA Leadership Camp. It's a 3-day camp this summer, July 6th to the 9th at Campbellsville University. We would love to have some of y'all be a part of that. We would get you to camp. We'd get you back. You don't have to worry about transportation. Camp costs $230. Everybody look at me. That's the part I always like to get your eyes on. If you don't have $230, you got to come up with something, but lack of money has never kept anybody home. If you want to come, we would help get you there. See me afterwards. All you got to do is you grab one of these flyers, take this home to mom and dad, and then also scribble down your name and a parent telephone number, because somebody's got to talk to mom or dad, make sure that they know it's a legit camp. It's well chaperoned. You compete in different sports. Every group of 80 of you would have like a college athlete who would be your small group leader. But see me afterwards if you're game, whether you're moving on or you're staying here.
Good morning, guys. My name is Lizzie Esterday, and I can attest to camp. I've gone several years as both a camper and a huddle leader, like a camp counselor. And it is a lot of fun. It is well worth your time. So if you come, I can see you there again. So definitely, if you can, check that out or run it by your parents. Thank y'all for having me. Addison, thank you for getting hold of me and escorting me in here. I appreciate that. So kind of a quick overview of, I guess, my background, who I am, and then I'll dive right into just one verse that I want to focus on today with you all. I am 25, so old. 5 years till 30, and I still feel like I'm in your old shoe. Like I have the complex of a 16-year-old mindset still. I graduated from U of L, actually homeschooled all the way through high school, and then walked on the women's rowing team at U of L. Anybody familiar with rowing? Okay. Huh? Who could give me a description of what it is? I'm just curious. You row your boat. Okay, the song. Yeah. Yes, sir.
So, like, you got a huge boat, and there's, like, team members lined up, and they all have rows, and, like, racing against people.
Yeah.
And, like, rivers.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And in so many words, we all have rows, otherwise known as oars, that we are lined up. It's 8 people in a 60-foot long boat, and you race against people. It's races or meets. The French term is a regatta, and that's how you compete. So that was new for me. Had not had any exposure to that, just because where we are, we're so landlocked that there's not a lot of opportunities outside of the nasty Ohio River to get on a body of water and compete. So did that in college, and graduated, and had a few years out of college, like two and a half before I met my now husband, who is on staff full time with FCA as well. So a lot of change in the last 6-7 months or so. But on the heels of that, and on the heels of change, this verse has been one that I've really had to kind of dive into and ask that this would be true of my heart. So Lamentations 3:24, I say to myself, the Lord is my portion, therefore I will wait for him. I guess depending on the version, this is the NIV, the ESV says, therefore I will hope in him, but those can be interchangeable. The Lord being his portion, and I think Jeremiah wrote Lamentations, I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that, but not that matters, but that the author, what I want to kind of expound upon is that he said he had to choose that God was his portion. And back then, portion could have been exchanged with like food. Like, this is my portion for the day, this is my food for the day. In other words, his food was his sustenance. His food is what gave him energy. His food was what gave him what he needed to get through the day. And what he's saying is that he is choosing the Lord to be that for him. He's choosing God to be his everything. And there's a lot today that competes to be your portion. So just a time of a little bit of interaction from you all. Throw out to me what are some things that in your world, specific to you, compete to be your portion, your, not necessarily your edible food, but what is it that wants to be your all, that promises you happiness, or promises you sufficiency, or promises you success? What is it that would compete against our Heavenly Father to be your portion? And so for me, just an example here recently has been comfort. So it's an intangible thing, but like I said, I was homeschooled all the way through high school, and then when I went to U of L, I commuted. So I've never lived on my own prior to being married. Everything was the same day in and day out. And then I get married, and overnight my world changes. Everything about it changes. And so I have had to pray, God, be my portion, even in this season when I have a precious gift of a husband. Would you be my portion today? Not my husband, not the security of life before I got married, but would you be that? So throw out anything. It could be success in your sport. It could be acceptance of other people, friendships. Any ideas? What competes to be your all's portion? Is it? Or, did you ever get up?
I did.
Yes, sir.
TV, all the recorded shows.
Yes. There we go. Anything else, guys? Yes, ma'am. Piano. Okay, very cool. Yes, ma'am. Soccer. Yeah. Mhm. Yes, this thing, my phone, like, I have to be intentional about putting that down. Yes, ma'am. Lacrosse, yeah. And fun fact, though, like lacrosse and rowing, I guess it's not super popular here as much as it is in like the New England states. I went to a race up there, and it was like they tailgated for lacrosse stuff, and I was like, what? We don't do that in Louisville, but cool sport. Anything else, guys? Any other? Yes, ma'am. Friends, yeah, absolutely. That's a huge one. Yes, ma'am.
Field hockey.
Field hockey, yeah. Yes, sir. Archery, cool, yeah. Yes, ma'am. Swimming, yeah. I love to swim. Okay, so in what ways, we just named a lot of things between instruments to electronics and sports. How do those, if you guys could kind of flesh that out for me, how in your world does that compete to be your portion? Your everything for that day? How does that promise? Yes, ma'am.
Right now, I think we think that it's our future. So we think that you have to be the best in it. You have to excel.
Yeah.
So that you've got a secure future.
Yeah, absolutely. So it could be even boiled down to security even. If it promises that, then of course you're going to put in the time and the effort and the commitment. Yes, sir.
I think it's also that it's just more fun to do
Mm-hmm.
than maybe praying or doing your devotional for the day.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna get outside and exercise or whatever.
Right.
Like play the sport and just have fun.
Right. Absolutely. There's a lot of truth to that. I agree. That's very true. Yes, sir.
Definitely entertainment and enjoyment.
Mm-hmm. And our world revolves around that. You know, outside of education for you all right now, it is how can I entertain myself through phone, through TV, through sport. Anything else? I think all of those are great. Thank y'all for sharing. I think that there are two takeaways from this statement. The fact that it was an active choice. Yeah, thank you. The fact that it was an active choice. He had to say it to himself. He had to say back, like, okay, the Lord is my portion today. I'm not just gonna stumble upon him being my portion. I'm just not just gonna fall into that. I have to choose today. It is not gonna be field hockey. It is not gonna be piano. Not that you can't enjoy those things. Those are blessings, and especially if God is giving you a gift in that. But he is saying, if everything else was taken away, my God would be enough. And I feel like I'm not in a place to necessarily even say that to y'all, because I feel like that is being challenged in my own life today. But something I'm learning and wanna share with you all is that even with the gift of a sweet, faithful husband, my security has been rocked. My world has been turned upside down, not in a bad way, but it just has. And the temptation is for me to want to cling to everything that's consistent and the same. But if that were all the case, I wouldn't be where I am today. If everything were the same, I'd be living with my mama and daddy till I was 80 years old, you know, and until they kicked me out. But what he is saying, what this author is saying, I have to choose today who my portion is going to be, what my portion is going to be. I don't know what would have competed for God back then. Probably things more like physical food, or I don't know enough about that, like that time, to know that their other portions would have been these things versus today, piano and electronics and sports. So for the first thing is that it was a choice. And he had to say it back to himself, almost to convince himself, like, today you were enough, you were enough. And even a prayer like, help me to enjoy these other things the way that you've intended them, but today would you be enough? If everything else was stripped of me, would you be enough for me, Father? And then the second thing is, I went into the second thing, that God is sufficient. And if God promises, if God is able to be your portion, if he is worthy of being your portion, then that means that you can find what you were looking for in all those other portions. Does that make sense? Like if he is worthy of being your portion, then all those other things fail in comparison. They will underdeliver compared to him. And I have to tell myself that over and over. So two other verses I want to leave you all with that we don't have to pull up here because I know that might be work. But they're both found in Psalm. Alright guys, Psalm 16:5, and both of these, this is David reiterating, using that word again, that word portion. Psalm 16:5 said that the Lord is my chosen portion in my cup. You hold my lot. Again, just that, the nature of it being a choice. I have to choose today that he is enough for me, choosing it over the other things. Choosing means that there's other things competing for that spot. So that's Psalm 16:5, and the second thing, or the last verse, is Psalm 73:26. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. And that's David saying, everything else may fail, because ultimately it will. But God is his chosen portion, the strength of his heart forever. So I know that might be a little bit of a weighty concept, but it doesn't have to be. You can just, I would challenge you all to think about in your head, what is it that competes for my time and my heart and my energy and my commitment? And don't see those things as bad. With rowing at U of L, I wish I had done the math of how many hours we put into all of it combined, like practice time and travel time and tutoring we had to get because of it. Like it was a huge commitment, but even in that season of life for me, it was not my portion. It's gone. It's a done chapter. It's in the past. I did 4 years of it. It's in the books. It didn't take me anywhere great. And I know not every athlete is in that same position, but it's in the past now. And your Heavenly Father promises to be a forever thing with you. So I would encourage you all to rack your brains, see what competes to be my portion today. What competes to have a position higher than my relationship with the Lord? And then maybe pray that you would choose to make him your portion. I don't know time-wise if that's getting us out a little early or done a little early, but thank y'all for having me. I appreciate it.
Does anybody want to pray us out? Want to pray us out? Okay, cool. Yeah, stand up so we can read. All right, let's bow our heads, please.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful day. God, thank you that we can all come over here and learn about you and hear stories about how you've helped other people. God, I pray that you help us throughout the day, and that I pray that you're our only focus of the day. God, we all love you. In Jesus' name I pray.